All right, we are making a UFC card for International Fight Week. I'm doing this card builder. It's going to be UFC 317, June 28th, I believe it is. They're going to have it at the end of June. I'm going to be building the card out here. I think this is a very, very good card. Now, one thing I want to keep in mind, it's going to be remote, like relatively realistic. It's going to be something that I think could happen. And it's not everything that I want. If I had what I wanted, this would be insane, right? If I always get what I want, it's going to be insane. But we're going to start with the early prelims. I made 13 fights. I would expect that we should probably be able to see 13 at least fights. So I put those together. We're going to start with the early prelims. The early prelim opener is going to be Jacoby Smith versus Sam Patterson. Sam Patterson coming off a round 1 KO against Danny Barlow, looking very good. And Jacoby Smith is, dude, he's putting a little win streak together. He's undefeated, highly touted prospect. DC glazes this guy on the mic all the time. I'm sure having DC and Rogan do the Roganisms while this guy fights, it's going to be very interesting. I think it's a pretty good welterweight fight to see, who's going to continue to move on. It's a good one for the early prelim opener especially, and for International Fight Week, if this is opening it up, it's going to be pretty good. So we're going to move on after Sam Patterson versus Jacoby Smith. The next fight is going to be Rodolfo Bellato, who usually gets into pretty fun fights here at light heavyweight. He's not the most skilled guy, but he gets into pretty fun fights against Modestas Bukauskas. I can just see this being a fight that gets it made. Neither guys have a fight booked yet. Modestas has kind of put together a little bit of a win streak here. Rodolfo Bellato's always been in pretty fun and entertaining fights. Neither of these guys are going to be close to the main card on the International Fight Week card yet, so I just think this is a good spot to put them. Early prelim, second fight on the card. Get the crowd going. It's going to be a pretty good fight. It's going to be a pretty good fight, but there's not a ton of name value, so that's why I have it lower here on the card. But it's going to be a good one to get. It's a little treat for the hardcores, right? They get a fun one that they get to work with to get the crowd going. Moving on. Andre Fili. I think Andre Fili's a vet. He fights on International Fight Week. This will be his second year in a row, I believe, doing it. I think he should be fighting an up-and-coming guy. I think you need Kevin Vallejos on this card, dude. This is a guy that's coming off a round 1 knockout. There's a ton of hype behind him. The International Fight Week card is going to be one of the most streamed, one of the most viewed, one of the most purchased, however you want it. People watch International Fight Week every year. You want to put your young and up-and-coming prospects, the people that you want to promote that have fun styles, good charisma. They're charismatic. Like, you want them on these cards, and you want them to be able to shine. So you give them winnable matchups against names that are known and a big stage. I think Kevin Vallejos versus Andre Fili is a great fight to make. Andre Fili coming off a loss to Melky Zelkos. It was a round 1 submission. He didn't take a lot of damage at all, so I think he's going to be ready to turn around and fight. And you give him an up-and-coming prospect like Kevin Vallejos, Andre Fili's making a fucking bag to fight. You might as well have him fight an up-and-coming guy, so the money's actually worth it. Kevin Vallejos, nasty, nasty fighter, insane boxing, went to a decision with Gene Silva on the Contender Series, and then is beating the shit out of everyone else. Coming off a round 1 KO of his own a few months ago, or like a month ago, this is a no-brainer to me. Kevin Vallejos versus Andre Fili. Get the fans invested in Kevin Vallejos, man. Moving on, the headliner of the early prelims, we have Charles Energy Johnson versus Andre Lima. An absolute banger flyweight fight that I would usually put a lot higher on the card, but the UFC for some reason has not respected what the flyweights have been able to do. I think this is a sick fight. Andre Lima's coming off 3 wins in a row, has looked incredibly impressive. He's undefeated. Charles Johnson's coming off a loss to Ramazan Temirov. These are the kind of fights that Charles Johnson takes coming off a loss. Really good up-and-coming guys to see, like, hey, can these guys hang in the top 15? I think this is the fight to make. Andre Lima's an absolute monster. Charles Johnson's super talented fighter. Been around the game for a bit now. He's always super active. I think this makes a ton of sense. This is like, can Andre Lima break into the top 15? I think it makes a lot of sense for this fight to be made. Similar frame on these guys. Andre Lima's going to have the more power. I would imagine the cardio is going to go to Charles Johnson. The volume generally is too, but Andre Lima's dangerous, man. I'm willing to bet he can figure out the Charles Johnson puzzle, and if he can, it's just one of those things where Charles Johnson just keeps doing his own thing. But this is a great, great fight to cap off the early prelims. Going into the regular prelims, we're going to start with John Castaneda Now, John Castaneda, you might be like, why the fuck's he on International Fight Week? It's because I think you give him Peyton Talbot. John Castaneda, who likes to primarily strike, can kind of grapple, but he's not at the level of Hani Barcelos in terms of fighting, in my opinion. Guy who's been trying to fight for a couple months now, honestly, and all the fights have fallen through. I think Peyton Talbot's going to be someone they're going to get on this card. They're going to look to get right on this card after a loss to Ronnie Barcelos. I think this is a good matchup for him. I think he can chin John Castaneda. I think John Castaneda is definitely chinnable. And I think this is a much more approachable matchup for Peyton Talbot. It's probably going to be mostly striking and then a little bit of grappling, but something that he's constantly been working on, and I don't think that John Castaneda grapples at the level of Ronnie Barcelos. Ronnie Barcelos is tricky, man. He's pretty damn good. I know we talk shit about him I talk shit about him from time to time because he got knocked out by Umar, and like it's weird to be like, oh, you got knocked out by Umar, so now you get the Beksad Almakhan fight, and after that you get Sandhagen. I get that that's weird. But I think this is an approachable matchup for Peyton Talbot. I think it's an approachable matchup for John Castaneda. Makes all the sense in the world to me. Put it on the prelims, opening it up, moving on. You're going to have a chick fight on here. Why not make it one that like people actually know? Tatiana Suarez versus Mackenzie Dern. This better not be near a main card. It won't be, right, guys? No way the UFC would put another chick fight on the fucking main card, right? They wouldn't Mayra Bueno Silva versus Macy Shea Saunas, right? They wouldn't do that. Because here's the thing. Last International Fight Week was so shitty. First of all, this is a pretty good fight because Mackenzie Dern fights are actually entertaining. And these two haven't fought each other yet. But like, when you look at last International Fight Week, the card was shit. You had a main event of Pereira versus Prohaska last second. Okay, cool knockout. But like, then you have Diego Lopez versus Dan Ige on literally less than 24 hours notice. You have Roman Dolidze, the double threat, versus Anthony Smith as the feature fight. Macy Shea Song versus Mayra Bueno Silva as the fourth fight down. And then Ian Gary versus MVP as the main card opener, which was a stinker. It was a shit card. Such a shit card. You need to make up for it, UFC. I know they're going to have a chick fight on here, but put it on the fucking prelims, dude. We don't want to pay for it. Even though I will say, women's fights have been showing out. The past couple cards, London, the fight night before, I think it was Dolidze versus Vettori, 2 first-round knockouts from the ladies right off the bat. The Lupe Godinez, Julia Pilastri fight, and then the Shauna Bannon, Pooja Tomar KO. Like, they've been putting on, I'll say that. Next fight on the card, Cody Garbrandt makes his return on the prelims against Alexandre Topuria. I think you want Alexandre Topuria on this card. You're going to want to build him up in the bantamweight division. You're going to want to kind of put him up, like he's older, so he's in his 30s now, so you're going to want to like have him kind of move up quicker. You're going to have to kind of speed run him a little bit. He is good, he's solid, like you're going to want to put him against the right kind of opponents it'll draw eyes, but if he wins, it's like, dude, he's in a good standing and he's going to be moving up in the division soon. I think Cody Garbrandt versus Alexandre Topuria makes all the sense in the world. 2 good boxers with decent wrestling. Right, Cody's wrestling's decent. Alexandre Topuria has good wrestling. And they're 2 names. Like, people know who Alexandre Topuria is because of his brother. But to build his name even more, you're giving him a Cody Garbrandt. And if Cody Garbrandt wins, you're going to have everyone going crazy over Cody Garbrandt again. It's a win-win situation for the UFC. This fight makes all the sense in the world. Cody Garbrandt, Alexandre Topuria, co-headlining the prelims of UFC International Fight Week with the headliner of the bird, the broken eagle beak, or whatever the fuck he is, man. I'm glad you asked. Versus Arnold Allen. These are 2 dudes that I don't want to see on the main card of this, but it's a really, really good fight in the featherweight division. Ranked 6 and 7. Haven't fought each other yet. Arnold Allen coming off a good win over Giga, but he lost to Mozart before that. In a questionable way, I will say that. It was fucking Mark Goddard ruined it, but then you have Brian Ortega coming off a loss to Diego Lopez. I think this fight makes sense. They haven't fought each other yet. They're 2 decent names in the division. And it makes, like, this is such a good prelim headliner. If this is the prelim headliner of the International Fight Week card, you're like, damn, this card's going to be fucking sick. T-City making his return against Arnold. Fucking non-verbal Allen. Okay. Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah. I'd love to fight Brian Ortega. It's going to be a good fight. Yeah, I'm going to bring it. Not my best, but like it is what it is. Like Arnold Allen, Brian Ortega, great fight as a prelim headliner. We're going to move on. I have to move the camera a bit here. Oh, and I've ruined the whole video, guys. I know, I've done it. I've done it now. It's all right, that worked. Here we go. Main card opener. Beneil Dariush. I'm sorry, brother, but you're getting the fucking Mauricio Rufy treatment. We need it. We need it. We need this fight. Time for the Mauricio Rufy treatment, man. He called out Beneil Dariush. The UFC paid Beneil Dariush a bag to not fight. They're like, hey man, you owe us a favor. Why don't you try and be the guy that stalls out Mauricio Rufy, help build that name up again. And Mauricio Rufy, you get your wish, dude. Like, this is such a good fight to put on the main card. Because it really is. You can't just sit there and be like, Rufy's gonna chin him. He could, but Dariush could just take him down and twist him into a pretzel. We don't know. But this is how you continue the McGregor arc. You put Mauricio Rufy against a named guy in Beneil Dariush that a lot of people know. He's not the most popular guy, but a lot of people do know Beneil Dariush. The hardcores do. And you see if he can continue his rise into the rankings. And if not, Beneil Dariush puts himself back in a great situation. Dude, I just derailed this absolutely insanely good prospect looking to fight again soon. I want the fucking Paddy Pimblett fight. I want the Dustin Poirier fight. I want that. You're in a position to start asking for stuff if you derail the Mauricio Rufy hype train. Now, the UFC may not be happy with you, but your name gets rebuilt. I just think this is one that we need to make. Mauricio Rufy versus Beneil Dariush, main card opener. Moving on. Anthony Hernandez versus Caio Borralho. I cooked with this one, boys. I think this is great. These are two guys that are prospects surging, going to be in title contention with a win. Put them up against each other. Strickland and Whittaker fight is probably going to be what happens. It'll probably happen in Australia. Izzy's probably going to take quite a bit of time off or only fight like someone more of named value. Caio Borralho would work, but I can see Izzy just taking a lot of time off, maybe a year, and he just continues to slip down the rankings a little bit. I can see that. Or if Hamzat loses to Dricus du Plessis, they might just do Hamzat versus Izzy for the paycheck. But I think Borralho and Anthony Hernandez are real title contenders. You have Imavov already lined up. He's going to be waiting for his title shot. I honestly I don't like when guys wait for their title shot, but Imavov kind of deserves one at this point. You're going to have Dolidze might fight fucking Izzy. You might see Izzy versus Dolidze and Whittaker versus Strickland. Then you do Borralho versus Anthony Hernandez, the two guys that are kind of left out of that, but both are really, really good fighters, deserving contenders. So I think you put them up against each other, put them in positions for title shots. Moving on. Dan the Hangman Hooker wanted to return for the BMF belt against Max Holloway. Dude, we're putting the BMF belt on the line in the co-main here. We are. Max Holloway, not the co-main, the feature fight. Max Holloway versus Dan Hooker, International Fight Week, BMF belt, 5 rounds. This is sick. These two haven't fought each other yet. It's going to be a striking affair. It's going to be very technical, but both these guys are super tough. Both these guys like to throw a lot of volume. Both these guys are very skilled, known badasses. This is going to be an absolute 5-round war. That's what this is built to be, is a 5-round monstrosity war of a fight. Can't beat it. Max Holloway, Dan Hooker, this is the fight to make. 100% the fight to make. I'd love to see Max Holloway versus Charles Oliveira. I'd love to see that. But in order to do that, that means like Arman's going to be tied up with someone else. Like maybe it would be Arman and Hooker, and then you would have to do Ilya versus Islam, and I just don't think Islam's ready for the Ilya fight. I think instead you are going to see Ilya on this fight card because you want him versus Islam. You want the fans to cheer for it even more. So you put him against Charles Oliveira and you say the winner of this gets the title shot. In October, listen, we're setting it up. October, Abu Dhabi, at the end of October, 4 months away. The winner of this fight is going to get Islam Makhachev for the title. You promote it that way. Islam's never in too much of a hurry to fight. Only when the real number one contender is looking to fight, that's when he goes, oh no, I'm going to take some time off. Oh, now you're booked? Okay, I need to fight Poirier in June. Has to happen. Sorry, guys. Okay. I think you do Ilia Topuria versus Charles Oliveira. I know Oliveira's kind of ducking it, which is pissing me off. To no avail, it is pissing me off. But I think you got to do everything you can to have him take this fight. Throw him an extra million. Throw him an extra million. Promise him the title shot after this. Beating Michael Chandler coming off a loss to Arman Tsarukyan does not get you a title shot. That doesn't happen like that. You're not getting a title shot, Charles. You're not. You don't deserve it. I love you, Charles, but you're not getting it. You don't deserve it. Fight Ilia. If you beat Ilia, you're the most deserving contender. You jump the line against everyone who's ever had a line. Ilia, if you win, you get the title shot we all know we want so fucking bad. But this continues the storyline for Ilia, just continuing to knock out everyone's favorite fighters. It does. And it sets him up in a position to be like, now I'm really hunting Islam Makhachev. And he's undeniable. Ilia Topuria, Charles Oliveira, at this point, if Ilia wins, he proves himself as a 155er number one contender, and you go, damn, you can't do anything other than the Ilia fight right now. This is the fight to make. I made it the co-main because I think these two are just bigger stars than Max and Dan Hooker. I get that this has a BMF belt on the line, but this needs to be 5 rounds, and this needs to be the co-main that people go, yeah, dude, this is going to help carry the card. And in the main event, Jon Jones versus Tom Aspinall has to happen. I'm afraid that this is going to be one of those fights where they book it for here. Jones pulls out mysteriously. They put Gane in there. He gets slept by Aspinall in the first round, and then they do the real Jones versus Aspinall at MSG. That's what I have a feeling is going to happen. I'm going to be real. I see it being this fight being booked. The Jon Jones pulling out a month in advance, not even a month, 2 weeks in advance. Cyril Gane gets slid in there. Aspinall KOs him in a round or submits him in a round. And then he goes, I'm sick of this Jon Jones, mate. I'm sick of Jon Jones, mate. If he wants to fight, I'll fight him in MSG. But if you pull out, it's my belt. I'm done with you. Retire, John. We don't want you done. I'll retire Jon Jones without even fighting him, mate. Fuck Jon Jones, dude. You know how I feel about Jon Jones. But it's got to be Jones versus Aspinall. This fight needs to happen. Jones, stop being a fucking pussy duck. You're ruining your career. Granted, your career was already ruined by the fucking PED cheating, by the wife beating, by the hitting the pregnant lady with the car, by fighting fucking pride welterweights, having a frame advantage, robbing Dominic Reyes, elbowing Matt Hamill illegally. If that's a legal loss so Tom Aspinall's record's 15-3. One of the losses, he blew his knee out to Curtis Blades. So again, not a real loss. One of them, he got submitted by heel hook. That's a real loss. And another one, he fucking illegally 12-6 elbowed an opponent. That's a loss on his record. Why aren't we wiping that away? But we want to wipe Jon Jones' loss to Matt Hamill away? Nah, you don't get both, brother. Jon Jones, Tom Aspinall. It's the fight to make. It's the biggest fight you can make right now, other than Ilia and Islam, but we know we're not getting Ilia Islam. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please like and subscribe. I wanted to put DDP versus Hamzat on here as well, but I just don't think you can run the risk of Hamzat pulling out and Jon Jones pulling out. It'll ruin the whole event again. Think they'll have that for a totally separate card, and what they'll probably do, you'll see when I make the next card after this, which will be in July. You'll see what I do, but I'm probably going to have a Dricus versus Hamzat as the main event, Volk versus Evloev is the co-main event. Or if Diego wins, please don't. Please, dude, I love Diego, but please, don't kill Volk. Please, don't kill Volk. It'll be the featherweight title fight as a co-main. Just to make sure if something happens to Hamzat, they have a title fight. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please like and subscribe. Let me know what you think of the matchup.